I'll try and do it quite quickly. You know, I went to Kathmandu and the idea was basically to achieve enlightenment because we'd seen it on telly. And there was this guy, Dan Cruikshank, who does these TV shows. So he was basically in Kathmandu and he's following the footsteps of the Buddha through India, the whole thing. And he gets to this bit, it's this temple in the Kathmandu Valley called Swayambanath. And there's 360 stairs. So there's one stair for each day, 365 stairs, one day for each day of the year. And Dan Cruikshank says this is the ultimate holy spot on earth. Any devotion performed here is 9 billion times more effective than anywhere else on the planet. And you're like, okay, that sounds pretty impressive. And if you can go up these stairs on one breath, you're guaranteed enlightenment in this life. So that seemed a much easier work than actually going and meditating or anything. You know? So we figured let's just go and run up the stairs. And I went across with my mate. He just got a ticket and went to Kathmandu. And as I say, it's very easy to do. You know, we young guys, we just took a deep breath and ran up the stairs. So we thought, this is it, this is sorted. So we'll just go home now. But then the next day, I'd actually sitting in the roof garden. I was writing stuff for the Invisibles. You know, I was writing a story for the back for the second issue, and this thing started to happen. And as I always say, I've got to caveat this because I did take this tiny little piece of hash. But you know, and yeah, I would laugh too. But the weird thing was, the effect of whatever happened didn't correlate to this tiny little bit of hash. You know, I've tried a lot of this stuff, particularly after that. I pretty much tried every psychedelic available to see if I could recreate this and never could get close to it on anything, even DMT, high dose mushrooms, tryptamine. None of it took me back to this place. So I had to conclude that something else had happened, and because it changed my perspective so powerfully and violently, it became like absolutely real to me. But what happened was I'm sitting up in the roof garden writing this thing, and suddenly the Swayambanath temple at the end of the valley starts transforming, and it seemed to be, there was like pipes coming out the back. It was like spiritual energy was venting, and I thought, I'm really hallucinating here, this is bizarre. So I tried to make it downstairs, got downstairs, my pal's lying over there sick in bed, and I lay back in bed, oh Jesus Christ, this is hardcore. And I'm lying there and these blobs come out the walls, like silver blobby things, you know, like rave things, like bits of mercury floating in anti-gravity. And they were kind of like communicating, they just said, okay, you fucking asked for it. You know? so now what do you want to do? And I said, well, where do you want to go? Alpha Centauri, first thing that came into my head. If somebody ever says to you, where do you want to go, don't make that the first thing that comes into your head. You know, say like the Playboy Mansion or that. You know, it's just something else, Buckingham Palace. But no, I said Alpha Centauri. And honestly, this thing happened where I stopped feeling my body and this kind of Stargate stuff. And then a perfect astronomical representation of Alpha Centauri with 3 suns, all correct, all in the right place on a kind of planet. They took me down to this planet. I got into a bit of an altercation with these things that seemed to be made in neon tubes, fanning, and so I put them in Superman, you know, the All-Star Superman, I called them the electro kind. But there's the idea that they were tungsten glass aliens in these brittle exoskeletons. So it was all super convincing. They were communicating these angry, like, making shapes. They pulled me out of there, and then they said, you're too dangerous to be going into anybody else's culture. You're just an idiot. You went in there and really offended those glass tube people. So they just said, look, we'll show you this is what we brought you here for. Forget time and space. We're going to turn you around and show you everything else. And they turned me around and I saw a higher dimensional space. And all of our 4-dimensional space-time continuum from the beginning to the end was a single object. Like, it was like rotating sphincters is all I can remember, like coming in and out of each other, but you could see Shakespeare was there and the dinosaurs were there. Everything was happening at the same time on this object. And we were outside it, and they showed me this kind of sort of blue vaulted space with silver traces going through it. And these silver things would plug into the grid. And when they plugged into the grid, they would interact, they would receive information. They basically just said, this is what we live, we're kind of like dolphins, but we swim in information. All we do is create. And what we do is create universes, because only by creating time can we grow our young. We live in a world beyond time and space. Time and space is just a very small component of our world, but everything here is immanent, is permanent. So we can't grow children unless we build a little tiny space thing. And that was our universe. Right? And so they say, this is what we do, we put a larva into this little thing, this terrarium, this Universarium, and in time it's capable of growth, because only in time, as I say, can things grow. And that's, so they show me all this massive, and they just, you've got to go back there and try and explain this. Oh, fuck you. You know, there's a bit more to it, but that was kind of the gist of this. And it's this big thing that said, the object that lives on the planet Earth, it's a singular object. If you track through, as I've said this 1,000 times, if you track everybody's timeline out this door, they all go back through history to the single mitochondrial cell in the ocean 3.5 billion years ago. We're all connected intrinsically. And it can even, if you think about that, we're actually like a giant anemone, with all the little parts of it. Every living thing is actually connected to one root. And if you see it with time taken away, it's all one thing. It's here all the time. We're all part of it. So they just basically, there's one thing that lives on the planet Earth. It's been growing for a long time. It's getting to a point now that it's reaching enormous complexity, and it's about to become adult. And when it becomes adult, you'll better be ready for it. And it just seems another one was like everyone who has these experiences, these kind of holy guardian angel or UFO abduction or, you know, higher contact experiences, gets this same shit. It's like something's coming, something very important's coming, some big change is coming. It never seems to come, you know, but it's the message is always there's something very important happening and you have to be part of it and go home and tell everyone. And everyone who does this seems to receive the same information, which is why a lot of people mistake it. They come back and think, they've learned this big thing, you know, all is one. So then they come home and think, all is one, I am one. Hey, I am the one! And that's how you get messiahs, and that's how you get Neo from the Matrix. You know, but basically what you're actually learning is everything is one, it's all connected. And it's why people can remember being Napoleon, because right now Napoleon's sitting in Elba in another century. Right now, you at 6 years old is thinking about eating that cake, you know, it's all happening in this object. It's just we can't move in time, so we don't see it in its entirety. And if that explains anything, that's kind of